not only do we have to explain that we're planting a garden, but we have to explain the nature of food justice.
Yeah.
And it's very different from, a cute little school over here wants to plant a garden because it's cute. We
Yeah.
literally don't have food.
Erica Williams is the founder and executive director of A Red Circle, a nonprofit dedicated to racial equity and community wellness in North St. Louis County. After a successful career as a paralegal, she shifted her focus to addressing systemic issues in her hometown, such as food access, education, and economic development. Since its founding in 2017, A Red Circle has grown into an 18-member team, leading efforts like the Healthy Flavor Community Garden and the upcoming North County Community Nexus, which will house a grocery store, restaurant, and local business spaces. A lifelong North County resident, Erica is committed to sustainable, community led change. Welcome to the show, Erica.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to get to talk with you.
Likewise, likewise. Well, I cannot wait to share all the wonderful initiatives that you are currently doing with the audience. But before we jump into that, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yes, so I am Erica Williams, founder and executive director of A Red Circle here in the St. Louis, Missouri area. I am in what we call St. Louis County, which is the county version of St. Louis City. And I am a wife and mother, 5 children, and I've been running a Red Circle for the past 8 years.
That is amazing. So you have a lot of downtime on your hands, is what you're
Right.
saying. I heard the 5 kids. I was like, oh wow. And then you had the nonprofit. I mean, like that's a lot.
One on the way.
Absolutely amazing. So, what inspired you to transition from a career in paralegal work to founding a Red Circle?
Yeah, it was birthed out of a need from the community, actually. It was birthed out of my own soul searching after the killing death of Mike Brown Jr. here in St. Louis region, in Ferguson to be specific, and just my own journey into racial inequities, racial inequalities, the plight of the Black community and how disinvestment really impacted the community. And it took me from, working my paralegal career to starting over from scratch and using my connections and knowledge and degree to helping my own community.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So, how did your upbringing in North St. Louis County influence the mission and values of a Red Circle?
Oh man, there's so much to say about that from my parents, my mom and dad, and uncles and aunties always instilled in me and my siblings and cousins just a rich love for our Blackness,
Mhm.
like our hair and our skin tone, the shape of our noses, all of that kind of stuff. They were always very intentional about letting us know we were beautiful and smart and capable and could do anything that we wanted to. So we grew up thinking, not realizing that not all Black children had that. We were really socialized into Blackness. And so, getting older and seeing people kind of give up almost, I didn't realize it was from a place of trauma and from a place of constantly being told no. So they just gave up. I was
Mhm.
thinking, well, I'm Black, my husband's Black. We're in the middle class. We have a house and, yada, yada. What's going on with these people? And it wasn't until learning about systemic racism. And that was in my late adulthood, learning
Yeah.
about things like redlining and restrictive deed covenants and learning how when, you're always told that you can't do something, that becomes internalized. Whereas we were always told we could do it, anything. And so that upbringing really, really helped to shape my passion for giving to my people in the community what I was given as a child.
I love that. And so, I want to piggyback off of that. Do you feel that this generation, this younger generation is starting to, I don't know if starting is the right word, but is starting
Hmm.
to kind of embrace what you're
Hmm.
saying
Hmm.
even more so?
They are. They're starting to realize that the lies, that our people have been told over the years
Mhm.
are, in fact, lies.
Yeah.
That we are not inferior, that even things like our pain thresholds is not higher than like a white person's pain
Yeah.
thresholds.
Yeah.
Just those lies that we've been told over and over. And I'm loving it. I am loving it. I am here for it. I'm older now, and these young people are teaching me stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that too. I love that too. So, in what ways does your educational background contribute to your leadership at a Red Circle?
It helped that I got my MBA. I
Okay.
got my MBA while I was still a paralegal. I was working in corporate law, and I wanted to uh, have a lot of knowledge and resources to help my attorneys do really good with their legal work.
Yeah, sure.
And I wanted to kind of bring people into the fold and the interest of investing in North St. Louis County, which is the region of St. Louis County where I work.
Mhm.
But that ended up not happening because, like I said, in 2014, when Mike Brown Jr. was killed, it changed my whole trajectory. And so, having my MBA and understanding, business and finance, that
Mhm.
helps to a degree. The leadership piece is just more about how I was led. I always tell people that, you are always your best example of what you've been shown. And thankfully in my life, I've had really good leaders. I've had really good leaders in my family, like I mentioned, in the church, at my workplaces. And so I've been able to take the things that I liked from those different avenues and apply them to my work at a Red Circle.
I love that. So, we've talked about kind of what led up to a Red Circle, but what are some key programs and initiatives by a Red Circle?
Mm. So the biggest programming initiative is what we have, what we call the food system.
Yeah.
We started out wanting to teach about nutrition and the impact that good food has on your body, your brain, your,
Mhm.
skin, your hair, your bloodstream, all that kind of stuff. And then what we realized soon is people love learning about food and learning about like how to cook different foods and make them healthy. But there wasn't really anywhere accessible for them to get the foods that we were cooking, that we
Mhm.
were teaching about. And so we started gardening, we started growing food. And it seems like once you get into that space of growing food, it's like a not a black hole in terms of like
Yeah.
bad, but
Yeah.
it opens up the world to farming and food entrepreneurs, like
Yeah.
learning about value added products. And so one of the things that we started doing is our farmers were like, okay, we're growing a ton of peppers, but we can't just get all these peppers out to the community or to stores. What can we do with them? So we started teaching about food preservation, making value added products and
Mm.
making products that you can then sell, place on the shelf. And so then we were like, now we have these products, but we need somewhere to sell them because we don't really have grocery stores
Oh my
in the
goodness.
region. And so now we're working on opening our own Black owned community driven grocery store that will have, I know, right? It's super
Mm.
exciting, that will
That's
sell as many
amazing.
of the products and food from our Black farmers and value added producers as possible. We bought a building that we're going to house the store
Wow.
and the production kitchen so that they can make the products, and a bistro that we can then serve yummy foods. Because if you're in a space where you're starting to eat better, but then everything around you is fast food, liquor
Mm.
store, convenience store, you have to have somewhere to go get healthy food. So we're going to be making it, selling it, and serving it all in this one space.
Okay, that is amazing. I didn't know about that part. That is awesome. So when is that going to open? Do you have an opening date for that yet?
Opening day for the brick and mortar. What we are doing now is something called a proof of concept, which is
Okay.
something I learned from this
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant, amazing woman in Chicago who just opened up her own grocery store. Yes, Liz,
Awesome.
amazing woman. And she said, as you're getting your building renovated, start small, start in your parking lot, start doing pop-ups,
Yeah.
and then let that be kind of like your feasibility study. So
Mhm.
instead of you just, relying upon what people are saying, start doing it. And so we're going to start hosting our pop-ups in the parking lot of our building in July.
That's
And we'll
awesome.
be serving food and selling food. We currently do a pop-up now in Ferguson, which has been going really great. Just only once a month.
Mhm.
And it's in Ferguson, which isn't super far from where our building is located. but it's far enough where there's a difference between where people can travel to. And
Gotcha.
so we're going to be doing the pop-ups at our space in the parking lot so we can bring people to the space and they can buy the food that we're selling. They can meet the farmers, meet the chef, learn about how to cook certain things. We'll have, there's a person who's in the region who grows mushrooms. And so we have a chef who's like a mushroom specialty chef person. So he'll be there doing demos so that people aren't afraid of the new kind of mushrooms. That way we can just really, because we deserve the best as a
Yeah.
people, as a community. And for so long, healthy food has become weaponized.
Yeah.
It's been made more expensive and it's been made to feel like it's out of touch from where we are, that our people don't want healthy food. So that is the initiative that I'm super excited about. That's called the North County Community Nexus, the whole conglomerate of it. And the grocery store is People's Harvest. And the healthy food restaurant is Bistro on the Boulevard. And the food production kitchen is called FPK, Food Production Kitchen.
Wow. That is, I cannot commend you. Like, I cannot commend you enough. That is such an amazing initiative. Like,
Thank
that's a
you.
lot. That is just that's fantastic. Fantastic. And I'm kind of curious. And now a word from our sponsor. Hey ladies, I just wanted to share my new book, How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right. I'm dismantling harmful stereotypes and empowering women to see that singlehood isn't something that you have to survive, it's a place to thrive. Through biblical wisdom in real talk, this book is going to answer key questions such as, what does the Bible actually say about singleness? And how can I reject society's misguided views and embrace God's plan for my life? So if you've ever asked yourself these questions or wondered if something was missing in your life, this is the book for you. It's time to stop waiting and start living. Your life isn't on hold. It's happening right now. Grab your copy today in audio or paperback format at www.withorwithoutmrright.com. Back to the show. Is there any thoughts of maybe expanding outside of where you are currently located? I don't know, because I could see this going to different cities.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my thinking about that is I am a person who is not a gatekeeper of knowledge, information, and resources. And so if anyone wants to do something similar in their community, I am down for giving them as much tools and support as I can. But I know for my own capacity and the capacity of my staff, we cannot be the ones to expand.
Sure.
So if you want to do a People's Harvest or something similar to a Red Circle in your community, we can get in a coffee chat, we can get on a virtual link, and we can talk about it, and I can introduce you to people and walk you through it, and then you can do it.
That's awesome. You heard it here. All right. It's possible. It can be done. I was just sitting here thinking, like, a city. I'm from Chicago, so I
Nice.
know. Yes,
Nice.
so I know for a fact that Chicago could really use something like this. There are certain neighborhoods. It's very obvious. I don't know if you've ever been to Chicago, but it's very obvious to see the have and have-nots.
Yeah.
It's crystal clear. So I'm just
Absolutely.
thinking that this city could definitely benefit from something like that. So kudos to you. I love that.
Thank you.
So you know, are there other ways that a red circle addresses food insecurity in that area? Or are those the major capacities?
Yeah, so in that space, that's kind of like the retail side of things, the social enterprise side of things. We do have a nonprofit farm and a garden where we grow food so that we can introduce more foods to the community, get healthy foods out into the community, help people identify if they have different illnesses that are sometimes tied to food, diabetes, obesity, hypertension. We work with families, get them the food, plus we also get them the help and access to, like, whether it's a doctor or understanding their prescription, understanding navigating through insurance. So those are the ways that we also work with families with food.
That is absolutely amazing. So is the community also involved when it comes to, I know you work with farmers, but are there like community gardens too? Is that something that you do as well, or?
Yeah, so we don't necessarily like set up gardens, but
Oh,
if people do want gardens, we can kind of help them, walk
oh,
them through how to set it up, how to maintain it, when to plant certain things, so that churches and like there's a daycare in the region who just planted a brand new garden, and
mhm.
we're going to help them with some maintenance. And then there's a couple of churches who want gardens, so we'll kind of walk them through how to do it, and but it's all about empowering people. And if we just went around and just did everything, once we're
Oh, yeah.
done and once we're gone, nothing would change. So we really want to make sure that people are taking hold of what they're doing.
True, true, true. I love that whole approach. So, what are some challenges that you might have faced sustaining a red circle, and how have you addressed them? Because I know that's got to be hard to, be a not for profit, and just the whole nature of the topic that you are trying to tackle in
I was going to say
and of itself.
the topic, the audience, fundraising. Not only do we have to explain that we're planting a garden, but we have to explain the nature of food justice.
Yeah,
And it's very different from, a cute little school over here wants to plant a garden because it's cute. We
yeah.
literally don't have food. And so we have to explain why we're doing the work that we're doing. We have to try to either find people who align with understanding the need for racial justice, racial
Mhm.
equity, or try to convince people. And that's sometimes not something that, you know, I don't necessarily mind doing it, but it's not always productive. And
True.
so I want to make sure I'm spending my time, and my resources with being able to move the needle and not try to get someone to understand what I'm saying. Just recently, I was talking with someone who, you know, there's a potential of SNAP being cut, this big bill that's in Congress right now. And, their thinking is, how come people just don't get off food stamps? And, so then we have to have those kind of conversations about who's receiving SNAP and children and get the elderly or people who are disabled, or sometimes people just can't, but all those, like, why do I have to take my time to try to convince you that everyone deserves good food?
Or
You
not
get to
just
go to a
that.
store and
Yeah.
buy whatever you want. And like, so this afternoon, we screened a movie called Against All Odds: The Fight for the Black Middle Class. And it
Mm.
went through the history from the Great
Mhm.
Migration to now, about how some families were able to build wealth through home building, businesses, whereas other families have not. But despite those inequities, the price of bread is still the same. The price of
Yeah,
diapers are still the same.
that's true.
And so, families that are trying to live off of less still have to do the same things that families with more have. And so it's not just about, can't they get off welfare? Can't they get off food stamps? But it's about the system that was put in place, the inequities from the beginning, the imbalance. So that kind of work, takes time. I could just be out there growing food and talking to my community and raising money, but then I have to keep circling back to why and how we got here.
That has got to be, I mean, first of all, I wanna thank you for your service. I feel like that needs to be said first because the way my personality is built, that's gotta be frustrating.
Hmm.
That's got to be frustrating. Um, yeah, that's just gotta be frustrating. I don't know how you deal with that because at this point in this day
Lots
and
of
age,
grace and prayer.
I was just gonna say, I mean, 'cause this in this day and age, to still be having that conversation
Hmm. Hmm.
with folks who are supposed to be educated,
Exactly.
is slightly disturbing to me.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
and it's like it's not as if someone just wants to be on Snap for fun.
Exactly.
Like, who would choo who would choose to be at the mercy of the government
Hmm. And
willingly?
even if people are, you know, that's not the conversation we need to have.
Exactly.
We need to make sure that the people who need it can get it. I mean,
And
there's
yeah,
fraud in every area.
yeah,
There's people who are rich committing fraud.
and not having any of those conversations, not
Hmm.
getting the 3rd degree like
Exactly.
a parent would that's just trying to feed their kid. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Whew, that's a conversation. Good for you. All right. Well, you know what? I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I ask all of my guests this question. If you had to choose one word to represent your goals for this year, what would it be and why?
I think my one word would be audacious.
Ooh, I like that.
I
Okay.
think I would choose audacious because the project that I described at the beginning, the store and the bistro and the kitchen, is going to be housed in a 44,000 square foot building
Wow.
that was audacious for us to even purchase,
That's
but we
amazing.
did it. And now we are in the almost ready to like start pulling permits to renovate. Like we should have our final plans from the architect this week, tomorrow, if not next week.
Awesome.
And so, taking that from inception in my brain to seeing something that people can actually go into and enjoy and heal from, it is audacious, but we can do it. We can do it. I have a fabulous team, and they are chugging along right along beside me.
That I love that so much. I just love the fact that you saw a need, you planted the seed, not only planted the seed, but you watered it, I mean, you did it all. I love that so much. And I just know that I feel inspired after speaking with you, and I know other folks are as well. So, what advice would you have for individuals aspiring to engage in this type of project as well?
Well, first of all, I would say, uh, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be timid. Let your voice be heard. And if maybe feel like your voice isn't loud enough or you're not the speaking type, find someone and talk to that person one on one and let them be your spokesperson. And then the second part to that is I would say is listen to your community.
Mm.
Listen to your community and do whatever it takes to listen, whether it's going where they are to laundromats and other grocery stores, hair salons, go where they are, or host, dinners and events. Bring people to a place where the kids can play and you and the folks can talk. But listen, but let your voice be heard. Let your voice be heard because you have something to say. And if you see a need, meet the need.
Yeah.
And I always go back to what our president says: be the change we want to see in the world.
I love
Um, one of the things that we did in 2021 was a good food summit. We brought together lawmakers
it.
and farmers and health people and consumers, just folks that we can talk about food. Where is food in North County? What type of food is it? Who's growing it? Who's buying it? What types of jobs are there for food? What's happening with workforce development in food? Just what is happening with food? And the two resounding messages that we heard was, we don't want any more liquor stores or food pantries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes people think, oh, food pantry is so nice, so sweet. But then when you think about it, there's all types of things that come with the food pantry. Is the food fresh? Is the food what the people actually want to
Mm.
eat? Can people get jobs at food pantries? Is it, bringing revenue into the region through taxes and things of that nature? And
Mm.
so when you just think, oh, there's no food here, let's do a food pantry, stop and think and listen to the people. Do they want a food pantry, or what else do they want? What other ideas do they have? Because you never know who you'll meet, what type of skills and backgrounds people have. You think you're serving them, but they're actually serving you.
I love that. I love that. Erica, this has been a very enlightening conversation, and I know the audience will feel the same way as well. If folks want to get in touch with you, how can they go about doing so?
Yes, the easiest way is to visit that website that's right down there, aredcircle.org. You can go to I think it's Get Involved
Okay.
tab, and there's a Contact Us section. You can either type in your information in the form, or there's an email on there, info@aredcircle.org, and get in touch with me, get in touch with my team, and we can do, like I said, a coffee chat. I have a virtual link that we can set up, and we can meet on a Friday morning just to talk about, how I can support you or how you can support us.
I love that. Erica, it has been an absolute pleasure in learning more about your initiative, you yourself. I wish you nothing but continued success. And
Thank you
thank you
so much.
so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
you're doing. So awesome. And now a word from our sponsor. Hey ladies, I just wanted to share my new book, How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right. I'm dismantling harmful stereotypes and empowering women to see that singlehood isn't something that you have to survive, it's a place to thrive. Through biblical wisdom and real talk, this book is going to answer key questions such as, what does the Bible actually say about singleness? And how can I reject society's misguided views and embrace God's plan for my life? So if you've ever asked yourself these questions or wondered if something was missing in your life, this is the book for you. It's time to stop waiting and start living. Your life isn't on hold. It's happening right now. Grab your copy today in audio or paperback format at www.withorwithoutmrright.com. Back to the show.